All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is episode number 34, the first of the new year. We took Tuesday off as we were heading to the capital of the United States of America in Washington, D.C. So on this episode, we'll be having Cash a little bit later. We've got Barb Allen from American Snippets. She's helped me host some of the show, as well as somebody else that has differing opinions and open-minded to having a conversation. We also are going to have Suni help me out. She was not in attendance. Barb and I were both there, but Suni has been having obviously a ton of conversations about it. So we just want to have a conversation. So jump on, share this, and we're going to have Suni from Primetime Patriots help me host with Barb, and then we're going to have a conversation with Kelly. We are also going to be inviting anyone that is wanting to have a conversation that has an opposing viewpoint to come on as well. So please text or message in the box if you're interested, and I will find a way to reach out to you. With that said, we are going to get started with episode number 34. Episode number 34 of Truth Will Set You Free. Let's get the party started right now. What's going on, everybody? It is showtime with Truth Will Set You Free, episode number 34. So we're going to do quick introductions on everybody. You guys probably know everybody that's already here. Suni's already rocking that Keep America Great hat. She's getting ready for 2024 as long as there's not an impeachment. And we've got Barb. So Suni, you weren't there, but go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody that doesn't know who you are.
Hello, guys. I am Suni, the middle child. I am 1/4 of Primetime Patriots. I also work with Russo at Be the Change, and we're trying to save America. That's the goal. We're trying to get the truth out there, go against the narrative that the media is pushing forward.
100%. Barb, American Snippets. Tell a little bit about that and who you are, and then we'll get into you being at the Capitol.
Okay. I'm the co-host of American Snippets. It's a patriotic podcast where we have evolved over the years since we've started to now be focusing on what we hold to be America's core values and featuring guests to exemplify those and have value and lessons to impart on all of those that we can all apply to our own lives.
Exactly. For those of you guys messaging in the comment box about Trump speaking tonight on OAN or Newsmax or whatever at 9 o'clock, it's not happening. That's been 4 days in a row, them talking about it. There is, if he's going to talk, we're going to know. Also, I would like to notice that we have not heard from him since that speech. So I don't know what that says. I don't know if something's going on. I don't know if there's something we don't know of that might be something else. I don't know. I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist on this one. I'm just saying it's very odd in a time like this that he's completely quiet. That's all I'm going to say. With that said, we also have a guest that is a friend of Kelly's. Kelly, the one that we've spoken with about my girlfriend being doxxed, and not just her, but her and I both being reported to the FBI for standing on the steps of the Capitol, for being in the lawn taking photos. It's mind-boggling what we've gone through in the last couple of days. I am going to show some clips when Kelly gets on. I think that we have her friend Kelly, who is a Democrat, who does also listen to conservative beliefs, but wants to just have a conversation about it. But I'm going to show some clips. I think she'll be able to see it. Just comparing some of the things that have gone on for the last 4 years. Specifically, I have a clip from Inauguration Day in Washington, D.C. We just have – there's so many things that have happened in the last 4 years that don't compare to this but also do relate to it, that kind of makes me confused why this has been blown so out of proportion. And especially for the people there, we want to give our firsthand account. Secondly, I was listening on the way here to Fox News and in my car because I'm curious how they're reporting it, and they're still calling it assault on the Capitol. They won't, for the most part, not using the word riot, which thank God, because it was 110,000% not a riot. For anybody that was there, you would know that, or interested in hearing about people that were there. But they are, it is wrong. Anything that was, once you breach the inside, the windows that are broken, any damage that was done, and people telling me that the FBI is going to come after me for being there, not inside, but just being there to talk to me, great. I will show you a video of guys trying to break a window. I don't agree with what they were doing. I was actually saying, I'm like, why do they have to do that? Why can't we just, there's doors open. People were walking in and out. So ultimately, do I stand by any of the damage that was done inside? No. Before we get started, there is one video I can't wait to share because this is hilarious. I'm going to tell you that you've never seen this. You have never seen this at a rally from this summer. Well, that's not true. Very rarely. I don't want to make blanket statements, but very rarely have you seen anything like this from any of the rallies this summer. They're picking up trash inside the Capitol after 2 trash cans were tipped over. First off, again, they're breaking the law. They're inside of a building. But yes, they're picking up trash while they're quote-unquote rioting. Picking up trash, I have to say that over and over again because to me that's absolutely mind-boggling. So, fun fact, picking up trash. All right, we're going to introduce Kelly, and then Barb, I'm going to want you to give your firsthand experience, and then Kelly's going to be a part of this conversation. And if there is anybody else, I'm going to go ahead and put this one time. If there's anyone else in the comment box that is a Democrat that strongly disagrees, or any of the people that I have invited all day, all 30 of them, all 30, that want to have a conversation, please come on. I don't want people that agree with us. I want people that are telling us that we are terrorists and reporting us to the FBI. I want those people to come on. So with that said, I'm going to bring Kelly up to the screen. Kelly, how's it going, Kelly? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people who you are, maybe about your political background, your stance.
I'm Kelly Matthews. I'm from the Detroit, Michigan area. I am a Democrat, a centrist, though. I mean, I would even say I'm part libertarian. I am all for everyone else is equal, and but I am not. I dislike Trump very much. Before Trump, Trump gave me a civics class basically, and I'm not a fan at all.
Okay. Totally fair. A couple people are asking if you want to watch this on YouTube, it might be a smoother stream. I'm really quick going to throw that up in the bottom. I kind of forgot all about that fun stuff because we're doing an impromptu Truth Will Set You Free. Let's see. We've got, this is also going to be part of our podcast. So if you do want to follow our podcast, that is there right there. If you want to watch on, where is that? YouTube. Here it is. And you could also do the super chat likes or super chat on YouTube to help support us and our cause. So any super chats would be amazing. You guys rock. YouTube is definitely a place to watch. Some more views on there, the better. And if you want to be a supporter on Patreon, it's patreon.com/BeTheChangeUSA. And last but not least, since we might not be able to stay connected forever, because who knows when our platforms are going to be taken, we have a collection of emails at #BeTheChange.com. So join us there. All right. Before we get started with our firsthand examples, just because Kelly, you said it, why is it that you dislike Donald Trump? Where does the hate stem from?
Oh, that's such a deep question. So ironically, in the beginning, I was a Trump fan. And it was all because I didn't necessarily know I was a Democrat. But I honestly owe him that a little bit too. I'm a big researcher, so I look into everything. So I didn't want to say, oh, I don't like Republicans without researching it. And when I went back and looked at even labor things that they've stood for, starting with trickle-down economics, it never trickled down. Being from the Detroit area, it's automotive. And, I know there's some union guys that now are pro-Trump, but I think and I shouldn't even say pro-Trump, pro-Republican. But they've never done anything for a union, and unions can be bad, but unions also are the reason that us in the Detroit area make more money. The jobs we have here, I don't have a union job, but I get paid more for what I do versus working down south because of the union. So that it goes back to that. And then, Donald Trump, I respect a lot of my friends that love Donald Trump and are hugely for him, but they all say, well, I don't like his Twitter, I don't like this, or I don't like that. Which I just feel like he wants to incite things. And I was very hopeful when he became president, as I have been for, I mean, I voted both times for Bush. I actually never did vote for Barack Obama, more so that I was a bad American at that point and just didn't vote. But I just feel like Donald Trump has never tried to unite. He's been a great president for his base, but he's never been a great president for the rest of us who weren't his base. And he never tried to pull us in my opinion.
Thank you, Solange Amos. One follow-up question to that. With you saying that he's only supported his base, who would you consider his base to be?
Well, so I look at him as a demagogue. I think anyone who supports him, he's going to support you. I don't feel like he's ever reached out unless there was a reason that would benefit him. Now, again, my personal opinion, and it's definitely up for debate, but I have never seen him step forward and say, all right, Democrats, even though, just for an example, I always say, if you create the content, don't be mad about the coverage. So when he yells fake news, yells at the media, he's the first one wanting the media there to report something, but then he always wants to say, oh, but that wasn't what he wanted projected, my opinion again.
I gotcha. The question then becomes, if he had his African-American votes were very minimal, then why did he do anything for historic Black colleges that's never been done in history? That's just one example.
And it's a solid point. And I do think that maybe even more so than some of the things Barack Obama did when it came to actually doing them, and getting things passed, especially with the criminals and all things like, working with Kim Kardashian and what he did. But I just truly don't think it was ever to unite anyone. My view is he did it because he wanted the coverage. Like, hey, look what I did. Again, it's so deep, the issues that I've had with him, and it starts back with just the way he ran and in 2016, and it shouldn't be, but how he acted towards Ted Cruz and what he said about his wife and his dad and everything else. I mean, it just gets absurd. So he just pushed me away from then.
Before we go into the actual rally, Suni or Barb, do you have any follow-up questions on that for Kelly?
You go first. Go ahead.
No, I mean, not so much questions. First, Kelly, thank you for even doing this with us. I really appreciate that. Like Anthony said, it's really difficult to have conversations. I've mostly just been tarred and feathered when I make the attempt. So I really appreciate you extending yourself to us for this. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on trickle-down economics or any of that. My impression was that Trump was actually good for the Detroit auto industry, but that's only my impression based on some of the articles that I've read, and obviously some of the things that he said and hearing people in Detroit. That's not based on any full hardcore research, but my impression was that he was good for that auto industry. So I'm, interested to hear you say that he hasn't been. And then, just pointing out, it's also interesting that you are taken aback by Trump's hardcore press for the people who support him while not inviting those who don't support him in, which I would agree it is not a good way to be feeling about the leader of your country. I would also say that it's happening hardcore times 100 billion on the other side, especially right now at the moment. So it's just interesting to see where it's all going to go.
Excellent. We have somebody that also joined us. So I'm going to go ahead and say, Rican Princess, while you are getting ready, because your devices are still showing not connected, Barb, go ahead and give your description of your day at the quote unquote ultra riot that tried to take over the Capitol.
I had, and the people I was with had no clue that was going to happen. Genuinely no clue. We did hear, some angry people. You have that many people in one place, you're going to have so many types of personalities. So it didn't surprise us to hear really angry people. But by and large, the overwhelming majority were just people out there celebrating their right to assemble and and taking advantage of that right. They flew in from all over the country to be there. Everybody's exchanging stories, having conversations, supporting each other, being polite, helping each other through. And we didn't know what was going to happen that day. The first shift I felt in the tide was on the walk to the Capitol. People stopped, and we were sort of swept up in the wave of people who took a hard left and landed outside the Department of Justice, and they were screaming, "Do your job." That's what they did. They just screamed at the Department of Justice, "Do your job." And there was a guy next to me. He was, older than me, but a white guy getting in the face of a black police officer who was standing there very stoically with his arms crossed in front of the Department of Justice. And this man was screaming at the police officer, telling him all sorts of ways he should die and why he's responsible for everything, to the point where I got in between him and the police officer. And I was like, yo, this guy's not the problem. This guy would die for you. And that just didn't go very well. We left. And then again, when we got to the Capitol, we were not all the way up. We were like midway up. And I see in hindsight that it's even possible to have misperceptions if you were there, because we were stunned that there was no barricades, no security preventing this wave of people to go up so far. So our impression was that there had been no even attempt at all to keep people back. We didn't know till later that there were actually those little barricades. So at least the pretense of an effort had been made. We didn't even know that had been there. So we didn't know that we had like breached what had been set up, like a perimeter of sorts that had been set up, because there was no perimeter when we got there. And so we just kind of swept up onto some of the steps and found a place to sit back and just take it all in, because it was so intense to take it in. So I didn't know that I saw people rushing up the stairs. I saw the guy get shot off the stairs with a rubber bullet, fall backwards, and people cheering. But I didn't know that actually they had breached and entered the Capitol until my mother called me and said, "Barb, they're evacuating Congress." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" That's how I found out that it had been breached. But we did see a very long continued train of people, maybe 4 or 5 deep, mostly men, some of them dressed in military gear. Some of them had gas masks. They were unwrapping hockey sticks and chanting, push forward," and seemed like a very organized stream, like a lot of them pushing through.
That doesn't sound like Trump supporters.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I honestly don't know. Of course I'd like to think they weren't, right? But I can't look at somebody and say they're Antifa, because I don't have an Antifa detector on me. I look at someone and said, this is a human being intent on doing something not good. Like that's but I can't speak to who they were. I don't want to think that they were Antifa. I mean, that they were Trump supporters, but
have you seen the clips? This is a question for Kelly and Barb. I know Suni already has seen this. Have you seen the clips of the people that were trying to break in and be pulled back by Trump supporters? And they were literally holding the line, not the police, but Trump supporters were holding the line against these helmeted, black outfitted, or some military garb, masked people that were trying to break the glass, which they have now found the video that it was Sullivan that broke the glass, not a Trump supporter. And then people, of course, started going in at that point. So again, the minimal amount of damage, I think, needs to be discussed, especially me showing people picking up trash, which I think is hilarious, that was done during what the news is calling a riot. So, Kelly, I don't know if you've talked to, have you talked to anybody that was there yet?
Yeah, actually, my best friend was there, so I talked to her while she was there.
What was her experience? What did you take from it?
Actually, her experience was excellent. She told me that they all, so she actually went to where Trump was speaking first, and she was amazed. They all broke in prayer, and she is a very religious person, and that really meant something to her. And she said just the awe of being on our Capitol was absolutely amazing. She saw nothing bad at all. So they were sitting on the Capitol. She said that she did see people like on the scaffolding that she thought was set up for like building or, painting a building. And I informed her that it was for the inauguration coming up. But I'm actually surprised, Barb, that you had cell service, because I couldn't reach her all day.
I couldn't believe I got that call. It was the only call that came in. The one and only call. I was like, oh my God, Mom, it's a miracle you got through. That was
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but she didn't see anything bad. you know, they didn't go to the point of, and I will say, I think it's a bit naive to think that they weren't Trump supporters. It's kind of like uh, they had, I mean, there could have been some bad people mixed in, but let's be honest about this. There's radicals in every movement, and there had to be Trump supporters in there. We can't say, oh, they weren't Trump supporters. They were idiots.
I will 100% confirm that there were Trump supporters in the building, but all of the clips that we're seeing of, like, you got the guy dangling from the scaffolding or the actual inside of Congress.
With zip ties, right?
What's that?
The guy with zip ties, right?
Yeah, the guy with zip ties. That is not the MO. Again, is it possible? 100% it's possible it's a Trump supporter. Do I highly doubt it based on I can't say the word, but the PBs that I saw all day, the hardcore military guys that I saw all day, none of them fit that brand very specifically. Like that's the brand that we said to look out for. And then on top of it, there was all these rumors about the A group having their hats backwards and like blending in. And I have secondhand conversation. I'm waiting for a video that hopefully I can bring up, and I don't know if I'll get it, but somebody has a video of 2 buses, not the one that is circulating from a month ago, but this event, 2 buses with people coming off and then getting back on in Trump gear, being dressed and dropped off at the Capitol. Maybe that was the people that had the hockey sticks. Well, you said they weren't wearing Trump gear, right?
No, they weren't wearing Trump gear. They were like just in regular street clothes. I won't say none of them had it. Some of them did. There were scatterings of them that had Trump gear on, and then they were right next to guys in military gear, just dressed regular. I do have a friend who was filming this for a project that he's working on, and he was up front, and his recount of events matches what you said, that he believes Antifa identified themselves or were called out and did not deny it. And it was like, F you, Antifa. And they yelled back, no, F you. And he saw the people with Trump gear on trying to push those people back and defend the Capitol really from being breached. And obviously, that didn't happen. But
so again, now I have a question for Kelly. And Suni, if you've got another question after this, let me know. But Kelly, do you think, twofold question, do you think that you would consider this a riot?
No. Well, okay, that's a deep question. So it's kind of like the summer. Everything you guys are saying is exactly the things I heard from people this summer. Like the people who went and broke windows and burned buildings weren't with them. So I completely believe everything you're saying. Do I think there's some mixture in? Of course. I mean, when the guys got the podium running off and put it on eBay, I mean, there's a lot of similarities between it, but I have a hard time calling it an out and out riot. I just think that it's a protest that went bad as usual in our country.
Okay, I appreciate that stance. I'm going to actually say that it didn't necessarily go bad. It did not go well. In the grand scheme of things, I'm going to call it a mostly peaceful protest. We were referring to buildings on fire throughout the summer as mostly peaceful protest. I don't know why this is different in saying it's because it's a Capitol building. These are priceless things that were inside that building, and there's no damage. I saw a BuzzFeed article, and I keep repeating this. It had 39 horrific, quote unquote, horrific photos from inside the Capitol. 10 of them were broken glass. 5 of them were littering. And then a couple were people getting tear gassed in the hallway. And then for the purposes of metrics, you had the House members being covered and shielded on their way out of the building when there hasn't been a single bullet fired. I don't even understand why this is. If you have 1 million people outside, and I'm gonna guess, because I was close to the doors. I never went in, but I was close. There was at least 1,000 people that were in there and out of there within that hour, 2 hours. People were there. There was a lot of people. 1,000 people out of a building that are allowing people to take photos with police officers have the potential of doing mass damage to a building that has paintings and statues and all these crazy, expensive, priceless items, and none of that was done. I can't compare it to anything during the summer when there was looting, violence, and rioting. And were they bad actors in both cases? It might have done it, yes. But I've also seen groups of BLM teenagers college students that were white, black, purple, brown, doesn't matter, that were actually doing the violence, doing the looting, going up to people in restaurants, knocking their stuff off the tables, all these different things. I see this as possibly an unsuccessful event, possibly. I don't know. Suni, do you have any questions?
Thanks for coming to talk to us. I know it's like kind of rough in this political atmosphere we're in, but I have a few questions. Do you realize that both parties really don't give a crap about us? Like,
Completely.
just okay. At a minimum, is it just because you just simply don't like Trump? Like, and I understand that some people just don't like him, and nothing that he says or do or does will bring that like for him.
I think that Donald Trump brings out the worst in people and the best. It's a mixed bag. But I feel like when it comes to like draining the swamp, he's made the swamp worse. The people he's put into positions, just my personal feelings. And again, I can get along with anyone and I can respect your views on anything. I truly can. I just feel like there is, even when people talk about the tax cuts and they'll say, oh, but look at these tax cuts. Okay, so I work for a large company out of the Texas area. They got huge tax cuts. They don't even recognize Christmas as a holiday. We get the day off, but that's about it. There's nothing there's no trickle down of that money that's benefited me. And even when they talk about these urban development areas and where they give money, they're again, huge tax cuts for rich people. So the Republicans, in my view, and Trump is, I guess, on top of that heap, because even though he was a Democrat for most of his life and switched over to a Republican, in my eyes, he's on top of that heap because he joined into that. I mean, you got to give him something. He's brilliant. I mean, he's gone and got everyone to be so divided, where I just feel 4 years ago, he could have been the absolute best president ever. Even though I didn't vote for him, he could have brought everyone together, been for the man, and helped us out. And you're right. Both parties suck. I mean, I'm not going to go on and be like, oh, Democrats are so great. I just feel like there's more working man in that. I see when people say, oh, they call him the elite and everything else. The Democrats that I'm around aren't. So maybe I have a hard time rationalizing that personally.
Okay. Coming from a Democrat ran state and city, I grew up in a small town called Erie, Pennsylvania. It's been Democrat ran probably about 100 years now. The city I grew up in is completely destroyed. It's Black ran. People there are suffering. The things that Trump set in place actually could do a lot of those neighborhoods and cities a lot of good. But when you have leaders that are only thinking about themselves and what they want to put in place instead of the people, you're going to butt heads. I don't think we can blame Trump for a divide. The country was divided before he got into office.
No, I agree with that. I agree.
Obama, if we want to be honest, under Obama is when the huge divide even occurred. That's when race started to even come back up. After 9/11, America came together. We recognize we are stronger together than we are apart. I respect your views, honestly. And I'm glad you're here talking to us, because I often wonder why people feel the way they do about him. Some of the stuff, I don't know. I can't understand it, other than it's simply people operating in their feelings. And I just don't like him because he's done amazing things for the country. I may not benefit firsthand from what he did, but I know plenty of people that have. I know family members that have. I know people that have been let out of jail for long, lengthy sentences for doing something minute. He's the only president to actually listen to America. Actually, the actual Americans that need him. My husband's active duty. We're scared shitless of what Joe Biden's going to do.
Can I ask you why? What do you think Joe Biden's going to do?
The way he deals with foreign affairs, his relationship with China, and how he feels like they're not a threat. They absolutely are. They have infiltrated America long before Trump got in office. They've been here. They're buying mass land in mass. They're building a military base somewhere in Tennessee, I think, or it might be Texas.
Jamaica. I think it was actually the Bahamas.
Right.
Bahamas, and they're buying up land. And ultimately, you look at the way that, you look at the speech that he gave the night of the protests and the way that he panders to people to create division. He talks about it is time for us to unite out of one side of his mouth. And then at the other side of his mouth, he says, however, y'all that are following Donald Trump pretty much are the reason why everything is wrong. Like that's not how anything is going to change for uniting. Like if Biden wanted to unite us, he would say, guys, we've made a mistake for 4 years. We have judged the president. We have been critical of the president, and the media has not properly followed the president. And for that, I am sorry. But from this point forward, if you will, come with me, all groups, including Trump supporters, and let's unite and let's make up for the flaws of the past. That's the only way that he could say anything uniting. Period. Trump never had a chance. And before you go back, Kelly, I want to introduce Cash Kelly, who just jumped on as well. He's a little bit late. You were pretty quick. You were pretty quick from the grocery store. And introduce yourself because nobody knows who you are.
Yeah, my name is Cash Kelly, also known as the Revolutionary Uniter, also known as the Eliminator of Dividers. You know what I'm saying? I just made that up right now. No one called me that.
Anyways, Kelly,
I was just curious. I asked you all those questions for a reason because we're all human. We're all here suffering the same thing that every other American is suffering from. I might make more than the next person next to me, but we're all dealing with the same stuff. We all can see that our Constitution is not being followed. It's not. And it's not fair that half of the country can recognize this vote that happened makes absolutely no sense. And we're being told to shut up. Deal with it. Even though we can see, I covered the election. I watched. I saw those numbers fluctuate and they made absolutely no sense.
Well, I guess honestly on my side, I feel the same as you, but different. So for the last 2 months, all I've heard about is the 73 million voters that are getting disenfranchised by this vote when the 81 million of us are like, hey, we voted. And I understand that people are saying, look at this fraud, but no one can show it. There's not any.
No,
hashtag Italy did it.
We're gonna have Cash talk about that in a second. We're gonna have Cash respond to that. But ultimately, we're not saying those 81 million votes shouldn't count. We're saying those 81 million votes didn't happen. That's the issue.
Right.
And that's all we're saying. And ultimately, when I almost said their phrase, we went to the Capitol. You know what we did? We stormed the Capitol and we stood in front of it and yelled USA and yelled all the different things that didn't involve F Biden, like they would be doing F Trump. We went to the foot of the Capitol to say, can we have a real audit of these results? Because we all know people, especially with our network, especially with Cash's 400,000 followers and Primetime Patriots 100,000 and our whatever. We have all these people that have come to us and said either they've checked their vote didn't work, or look at these stories, or look at these videos that we've seen. Look at in my own county, I have a record of dead people that voted. So all we're saying is, how many of that 81 million? We're not saying that we want to take away their voice. We want to say which ones were fair, which ones came in before the deadline. Can we get a real audit? And when people say we recounted, Kelly, what you might not understand is that recounting a fraudulent election,
you need to provide the same numbers.
It's going to provide the same numbers over and over. You have to do a full forensic audit and check to see which ones are supposed to be regulated. Cash, go ahead.
All right. So a couple things. First, when you talk about they haven't shown any evidence, that is an entire falsehood. They've shown mounts of evidence. They've shown a lady pulling boxes out from underneath tables and running them through the tabulators. They have shown people being turned away at the polls. They've shown people being told that they can't cast their vote because they had got an absentee ballot. They've shown hard drive. And now, I don't know if you guys just seen what just now got released, literally like within the hour. They shown in all these swing states where a lot of this stuff happened, where the fishy stuff happened, they were connected to servers. And not just that, guess who owns them?
The D word.
Hawaii and China. Hawaii, you know, the company Hawaii.
Yeah,
Hawaii. And then other places in China. Come on, man. That right there, that there's a ton. My vote. I voted. I voted. I sent my ballot in, my absentee ballot. Didn't even get counted. In Indiana, which is a red state.
Now, Kelly.
But I live in a blue city. You get what I'm saying?
Does that mean that it was taken from us? No.
Yes. They took our right.
They took the right for the fair election. And all we're trying to say is we deserve a full audit when we know all the different things. And when a lot of people respond to us with, well, is it widespread enough to change the election?
It doesn't matter if it's widespread. That's the thing. Widespread doesn't matter. They should never even, in Pennsylvania, when it got shown that Pennsylvania switched the rules of voting, they went against their own state constitution when it came to how you can vote.
We're not pro-Republican, Kelly.
Did that. Republicans changed that. So I understand your feelings, but it was Republican who
changed what?
The way that the vote was done was all Republican.
In Pennsylvania, no, it was not.
Yes, it was. I promise.
It was a draft. It was passed by Republican leadership. It was passed by Republican leadership, but it was drafted by Democrats. But at the same time, we're not saying
it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is it's the legislators and the electors, bro. It's the way that they did this shit was wrong. It does not go by their state constitution. What you're talking about is what they did in 1930. Is that what you're talking about? When they switched it and gave the power over to
right after the
2 days. Summer. It was 2 days. No, they finalized it 2 days before the election.
You can't do that.
Well, that's not a 6 month waiting.
That is not legal, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Which is one of the cases that's still in the courts.
Exactly.
Right now.
That is illegal. You just proved my point. What you just said. That is an illegal move. You cannot do that.
I don't understand how I proved your point by that, but it was passed through. They were given 6 months to fight it. No one did. So that's when it was finalized right before, because it was in the 6 month holding period. That's what you're talking about, correct?
Yes.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, but even beyond that, just drop that. When they pulled ballots out, when they pulled this stuff out after they told everybody to leave, you got to evacuate. They stay behind and run votes through. Okay, that's not enough for you to be like, okay, that's wrong.
No,
that should not have happened.
Here's my point. And I'm all for investigations, but if you guys truly have these things that are
the video's out.
But hold on, if you truly had them, how come no one came forward? Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood were asking everyone to come forward. So I mean, they wouldn't have got thrown out everywhere. What, 59 cases?
No, see, this is where you're mistaken, that sister. They did present the people. They presented sworn affidavits. They shown video. The courts would not look at the evidence.
I think it's been debunked. I mean,
it hasn't. Let's Suni, go ahead. I know you're covering your mouth, so go ahead and please respond.
Every case that was presented was thrown out without even looking at evidence. Every single case. That's not a myth. I have to pay attention to this. We report on it. They didn't look at the evidence.
Go look in Wayne County. 2 of them in Michigan actually got in front of the judge.
Correct. The woman with the glass. They got in front of the judge.
All got in front of the judge.
Hold on. No. They had a date. They got to be heard.
No, they did. No. You are very, very correct. You're very correct. They got to be heard. They presented the evidence that we listened to live under a sworn affidavit, which is not evidence. That is something that typically leads to a viewing of evidence. And they were thrown out in many cases. Sometimes, most of the cases, by the way, were not done by the Trump campaign. They were done by local legislature. The one
you only filed 3.
The one you're speaking of was with Giuliani, and it was thrown out without ever looking at evidence. They heard the sworn testimony from people talking, which we watched hours of footage of, which was, if people know that they are guilty of perjury if they lie, it was enough to say, let me see the evidence. In every court case in the United States of America, when you hear somebody with sworn testimony like that, you at least look at evidence. And they chose to not look at the evidence. That is fishy in and of itself.
Are you talking about the ones that were in front of judges, or the ones that they made up these mock courts and had Giuliani with the state representatives? Is
In front of the state representatives and in front of judges.
Okay, well, the ones in front of state representatives were purely for show. I mean, we all have to admit that there wasn't anything that was going to be any more. Look at the Michigan girl that was, I'm assuming, drunk when she was up there, the blonde chick.
Yeah.
I mean, even Giuliani was asking her. I just feel that if they had evidence, it would have been, and I understand what you're saying, like, oh, it didn't get heard. Do you honestly think that all of these courts threw everything out that were Trump judges in many cases and simply were like, nope, just erase it? I mean, do you feel that way?
I don't operate in feelings. I sit here, I sit here and read. I watch these court proceedings. I look at the documents.
Same.
I would advise you, or just give a little bit of advice and say, look into hashtag Italy did it. If you're talking about missing evidence, there's your missing piece right there.
Facts.
And it's being reported in international news. It blew up in Italy. This guy is pretty much in trouble and about to go to jail for all this crazy corrupt stuff he did.
Okay, but I like to operate on facts. And when somebody,
that's fact.
But it's not a fact. It's a hashtag Italy did it.
Did you look into it?
No, that's how you
fact check.
You just mentioned it. How could I?
Kelly, where do you research? And I'm not. This is not meant to be condescending. I'm asking an honest question. Where do you research your facts?
I generally try to go to court cases. I go to multiple medias. I don't go follow CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News. I try to go directly to sources as closely as I can. What? I listen to a lot as well.
Like what? Give me an example. Right.
Well, I mean, I went and read dockets and things like that for the cases. But I try to do a mixture of things. I'll go to like USA Today, which was typically back in the day a more Republican newspaper, and then Wall Street Journal, New York Times. I'll mix in some WAPO. I'll mix in all of that. I just try to, as far as everything in my life, get both opposing sides. So
you named WAPO as your one opposing side.
Not necessarily. I mean, it would be more liberal, of course.
Wait, what? Oh no, you said WAPO. Never mind. I thought you were saying New York Times. Never mind. New York Times. So you actually didn't name a single right-wing source.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm telling you, hashtag Italy is a fact. It's a thing. There are affidavits. There are court proceedings. There are judges speaking out. And I'm telling you this, and you literally just said that's not a fact.
No, a hashtag isn't a fact, and I don't have.
No, the hashtag just gives you information.
I'll gladly look at Italy did it by all means, but what I'm saying is following a hashtag, in my opinion, is not a fact. It will lead you down a rabbit hole. I would love to go see the affidavits and all of that.
Okay, so and Kelly, my thoughts are what you said is valid. If you without using the idea of logic to look into court to say, okay, why is there evidence not being shown? What are they trying to cover? Why are they not letting this be heard? The people are seeing with their own eyes the issue, and this is where fact comes into play. The video footage of everything that we're seeing, the video of showing people way too far away from the tables, that's one. The video of that has timing issues, time lapses of in Wayne County. Why is this not heard when at 1 a.m. they shut down the counting and then allowed people to come back in and count later when nobody else was in there? It is proven and it is fact and it is mentioned and it is logged that there was no Republican checkers in the room. And then ultimately what I love is video. When we saw in Georgia, with the cases being put and based on the sources that you listen to, I'm assuming you have not even seen this. There is video inside the World Congress Center of early in the day 4 suitcases being put underneath the table.
Five.
I've seen it.
Five suitcases being pulled out when the quote unquote water break happened during that window when there was nobody checking the ballots being put into the boxes. And in these suitcases, you can fit up to 10,000 ballots per box. They pull out the boxes and then they start doing it with nobody watching them. There's video of this. So to me, there has been not a single response by the media. There has not been a single response.
There has been. Mediaite, I'm sorry, debunk that.
No, you had it right. Media lied.
Mediaite.
That was God speaking right there. And Jake,
Mediaite.
Jake, in the comments, the little periwinkle looking dude, I just want you to know that your mom swallows.
Oh my God. That
I like
escalated
him.
quickly.
I like him.
Kelly, how did they debunk it?
They, you know what? In all honesty, I'd have to go watch it again, but I did watch that. I know exactly what you're talking about. And here's my question: Georgia has a hard copy for every vote, so if
True.
it's not all just computer screen. They have the hard copy, and if
Do you know,
anything,
hey Kelly, I gotta stop you. Do you know what the hard copy looks like in Georgia?
the ballot, I assume it looks like a ballot. I personally haven't seen one. No.
It's ripped at the bottom in Georgia. So all you get is the actual results. You don't actually get any name. You don't get information of the voter. So once the ballot comes in Georgia, the hard copy is literally just a hard copy of the final vote, which means there's no way to trace anything that's done in the state of Georgia. So a recount is completely invalid because we're already saying that was an issue going in. So do you see why we have some questions?
Honestly, I feel like it's overplayed, but I guess I can listen to personally, if any state was going to have an issue, Georgia was going to be seen.
Look at that. Look at that little lady right there. Look at her. Ain't she cute?
I'm inviting Jake on as well. Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
No, you're fine. I honestly, I can't see it. I can't. Do I think that things could be run smoother and better, especially with all the technology we have? Of course I do. But I don't see it.
So when Trump got elected, did you vote for Trump his first term?
No.
You didn't. Okay.
Nope.
Did you vote for Hillary?
Yep.
Did you feel like the election was stolen from her?
No, but I will tell you what I did see.
Okay.
I don't think Russia hacked us and got into change votes or anything like that. I just feel like social media has created such an environment where people believe things that aren't real. And I think
Facts.
that
I agree with you.
yeah. And so it actually, again, best civics class I've ever had. I know so much about our government, more than I did before, just from seeing things and not thinking they were real. So I do think that was started by someone. I don't know if it was Russia. Our FBI tends to think so. I trust those things. So I know a lot of conservatives don't, but I do.
Do you trust our government?
That's a trick question. No, I trust some people in our government, but as a whole, no. I mean, going back to Kennedy, I mean, how can we,
Okay.
So this is where. Sorry, did you have a follow up to that, Suni?
No, keep going. I have more questions, but I'll tie it in.
I want to start.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Why did they just arrest all those lawmakers down in Tennessee?
Ooh, good question.
Conspiracy though, right?
I haven't heard of it myself.
I know they don't report that kind of
It
stuff.
is not on any single mainstream media source, and it is actually happening.
Kind of like Trump said it was going to. They're going to be in jail. They're all going to jail.
Hashtag Italy did it.
And we want to be very clear that we are not saying that Trump will be our next president. We are saying that there is something happening.
I am sorry.
It is so
Donald Trump
frustrating.
still your president, like it or not.
It is like
Go ahead, Barb.
no matter what comes forward, I'm not sure that there's any level of evidence that would satisfy people who are still insisting that there's no evidence. Like to Kelly, to you, what evidence would satisfy your threshold to convince you? I'm not saying it did happen, right? But if you want to go hypothetically, what would be the smoking gun for you where you said, oh my goodness, this actually did happen?
I think at this point, none. I mean,
No,
if Trump
not at
had,
this point. I'm saying in general. Forget about
okay,
where we are for real,
so
and let's say
starting,
what
if we
would
start back at when the election ended, see, I from watching, I listened to a show called Stuck in the Middle with You by Michael Smerconish. It's on POTUS every day, and it's for those of us that are in the center. And I feel like I get both sides from him, so I'm a huge proponent of that. So when listening to it, he was talking about how there's going to be waves, and he's like, the voters that come in person are going to be more Republican, people who mail things in Democrat. Tell from my own family that my parents have always done that, so right, whatever. If in the beginning he would have had, think about Bush's lawyers. I mean, there was some amazing lawyers that worked on the Bush Gore election, and all the lawyers were running, which I guess how the right could see this as a conspiracy against Trump, because that's the way it's always been played. And in my opinion, he's got everyone trained to think that. So everyone would always think that right off the bat.
Forget about that conspiracies. What's the proof that would satisfy you?
If they showed us anything of mass, like say, besides,
Like,
we have this video that's been debunked.
If what?
Say it again, Kelly.
If they had proof, if they had any sort of proof.
No, I'm talking, what is that proof? What is, you keep saying, if
you're asking me to create something that's not there. I don't know. I mean, I just haven't seen anything that has. So I don't.
So would it take Pelosi saying, "Oh shit, we're caught, we did it," or would it take Democrats or people coming forward and saying, "You know what? I got paid to put my vote." Like, what would it take? You have like 1,000 freaking people who came forward, if not, and said, "I saw this, I did that." Videos of people saying, like, they used a shelter and they allowed people who didn't live there to use that shelter as their address for voter registration. And they had stacks of thousands of ballots and laughing because half the people were dead. They didn't live there. Here are these ballots. It's a big freaking joke, right? And so, like, at what point, and the videos of the cases coming out and people testifying that ballots were screened over and over and over and over, people being turned away from the polls. Republicans not allowed to watch the Georgia shredding. Like, I mean, we could go on and on and on. And on. And imagine if it was reversed, and if it was Biden that was technically losing, and you thought all of this happened in favor of Trump.
Okay, well, first of all, if you look at it, it kind of was reversed in one aspect with Hillary Clinton in 2016. She came out and conceded and stepped away from it. So in the same number of electorate and everything else, as far as when it comes to, like you said, Republicans not allowed, the statements that I read, it wasn't that they weren't allowed. It was that they thought that they were farther away. They were 20 feet versus the 6 feet versus everything else.
No, they were kicked out. They were threatened and kicked out in many cases.
Are you talking about observers? Because the observers never were, but people that, so in Detroit, you can come in and it's basically open. It's always been open to whoever wanted to come in. Well, this year, for obvious reasons, they didn't allow that. COVID being one, the second one being there was busloads of people coming. So they didn't allow it. Those people came forward and said, "Oh yeah, we weren't allowed in." Well, there were still Republican and Democrat observers in there.
No, there weren't.
No, there were not. That's what I'm trying to say. That's
all
what
hours
I'm
of the
talking
count.
about.
They were kicked out. They were kicked out. And more than one polling place. The Republican observers who were lawfully supposed to be there testified that they were kicked out and threatened and feared for their safety if they stayed, and harassed, and nobody had an issue with that. They're like,
and they blocked the windows.
Thank you. I was just about to say that, Cash.
Okay, but they blocked
to, like,
windows in
dismiss these
Detroit where there was
people.
still a Republican observer in there.
But why are you blocking windows?
Okay, I want to make sure hold on, Cash. I want to make sure, let Kelly know you are right. There was still a Republican observer. There was a Republican observer in a room of over 200 counting machines and people counting ballots. Whereas what I've heard is there was over 40 or 50 Democrat observers that were allowed in, and there was, I believe, at most times under 5 of the Republicans because there was, quote unquote, too many of them, so they just made it very minimal. There is an issue there, Kelly.
Okay, but what you just said, what I've heard versus what's facts. I would love to find the facts on this because I too am intrigued. So
Hopefully
Okay.
I would
So
love
can I ask
to.
a question?
Go ahead, Kev. And before Cash goes, right after this, I want to get to the two things that we're going to end the show with, which is the doxing that's going on. Because Kelly, you know Kelly, and you now know me. And we're also going to talk a little bit about policies that you respect out of Biden and why you voted for him. But we'll do that. But Cash, go ahead and ask your question.
This is the thing that I got to ask, okay? When we were talking about Hillary, when Trump took office, immediately they were trying to impeach him based off of baseless claims. There was literally no evidence, none. Yet everybody was on the impeach Trump train, right? So then we find out that no, it was actually Hillary that did these things that they're blaming Trump for. They have proof. When they openly talk about it, what does she do? She destroys all types of phones, hard drive, laptops, bleaches them, acid washes them. Anyone else will go to jail for that. She did not. Now, here we go. Then we get all these other claims start coming out from a random group of people that starts with the alphabet letter. Not going to talk about it, but they start putting out all kinds of hints and all kinds of things about all of these people who are supposed to be representatives of our country. Okay. And all kinds of truth starts coming out about it. Instance, Mr. Hunter Biden's laptop. Before Hunter Biden's laptop was retrieved and even looked at, they were talking about Hunter Biden and the things that he did. And everybody was like, conspiracy, conspiracy. Then they get the laptop. And they're like, oh, there's nothing on the laptop because he's not in jail. Then they released everything on the laptop and everybody's like, holy shit, but still nobody's talking about it. Okay. Then on top of that, we talk about, the fishiness of this, what's going on with, that. And they certified, right? After Pence wasn't going to do so, then he turns around and he does it like Judas. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is the funny part to me that shows to me, it shows me that everything that we think is true. Every dark thing that we've been heard about these people has to be true because of this. Immediately after them certifying and everything that happened in DC, and supposedly a couple laptops being taken from DC, what do all of them start doing? Freaking out and calling for the immediate removal of Donald Trump. Invoke Amendment, Article 20 or whatever the fuck, the impeachment. 25th Amendment. There you go. Immediately remove him. They start freaking out. If he's only got 13 days left, why do you need him immediately removed?
So he can't.
Why are you all freaking out? Why is social media taking down every conservative voice that they can?
So
why all the hysteria? If it's not true.
There's two things that they can take. They can take away, first off, any executive power he can to do what he set up in 2018. One. Two, he can't run for president again in 2024 if he is impeached. So that is essentially their goal. But again, they're using what I believe is truly a false representation of a protest that was filmed at different angles, which had Pelosi's son, which, Kelly, I know it sounds crazy, is true. Pelosi's son was one of the first people in the building so he could take photos. If it was that violent of an event, would you think Princess Pelosi and her $20,000 ice cream locker is going to allow her son in there during what could be this horrible hostile event? No. The only issue that happened in there that was violent was when somebody was shot from the other side when somebody's trying to go through a door and, again, illegally go through a door. So I think it's absurd. Do you have any? Sorry, can I give you an answer?
But not just that. John Sullivan. I spoke about him because of my last event where I was in DC, my last time that I was there. The same guy, okay? Just so happened, him and his brother happened to be in DC again, right? And the same guy who was all over the news for two different things. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. John Sullivan was on the news because he just so happened to be the guy that caught the veteran getting, her life taken. He caught that on his camera. He was like there at the perfect time. Perfect place at the perfect time. Signals going on, hand signals, all of that, thumbs up, all of that. But then John was also on the news for what he was doing in the Capitol. He just went there to record and document, right? But he also brought people with him that were tearing the place down. known Antifa, known Black Lives Matter. Okay, not just that. Did you guys know, because that's a federal offense, isn't it? Right? That's what they're saying. Did you know that John is already out of jail?
Yep.
Kamala probably bailed him out.
But I mean, why would she do that? Why would she bail him out if he was in there on camera destroying things? Does none of this make sense to anybody that's not a Trump supporter of what's really going on here?
Kelly?
Blows my mind.
Oh, that's a lot to take in right there, that spiel.
Lot to unpack.
So, first of all, when you talk about her son, I mean, I'm not a Pelosi fan, so, but many members had their children there. Actually, the one, I believe he's from Maryland, whose son just committed suicide. His daughter was there. There's a great article about it that I read. Trash that you talk about how people picked up, you know, from the other side, we see pictures of trash. I mean, they're so comparable, all these things. I saw pictures of trash being left everywhere in the Capitol building.
Throw up Kelly Harder's comment. I'm sorry.
By everywhere. So I think that
X.
I don't even know who John Sullivan is, to be honest with you. I have no clue.
Yeah, they won't talk about him on most mainstream.
Kelly, if you want, please go watch my video from yesterday, Kelly. I broke it all the way down, and I got the proof of when I was there. His brother pretends to be a conservative on our side, right? And then John pretends to be Antifa and BLM. And they're making a documentary, okay? Their family, see, they're both adopted. They're adopted into a family, very wealthy, who is also in the political arena, very good friends with a lot of prominent people that sit up in that Capitol building. So when you ask yourself, why would he be in here going crazy? One brother's so good, other one's so bad, but both of them stay funded by these parents, both of them working on a documentary together, but supposedly hate each other and are enemies. And this kid always gets out of jail, never charged or never convicted, always let go, and always at the right place at the right time. And something bad always happens when he's there. And now he's on every news network. Everybody in the country knows who John Sullivan is now, just like the family wants it to be.
Except Kelly.
Right. Hey, Suni, you want to redirect the convo? So I said, Kelly, part of the reason I'm loving this conversation is that you're willing to be on here. And I want to be very clear about it.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
You're answering a lot of questions, and despite what some people might get mad in the comment box, that's fine. You really are doing a great job answering questions. So I enjoy it. So Kelly, Suni's going to redirect we got two more topics I want to make sure we cover. Suni, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a lot of censorship going on. I, for one, have been censored so many times. I've been kicked off of social media probably like 4 times now. I don't incite violence. I don't put anything crazy up. Normally, it's my opinion. Trump has been snatched off of every social media. Sidney Powell has been snatched off of Twitter. General Flynn snatched off of Twitter. They're not inciting violence. They're not doing anything that would go against guidelines. And I'm just curious, what do you think about the censorship happening amongst big conservatives?
Okay, well, it's kind of a 2-part question, because I actually shared a post today about it, and it's hard. I'm 100% for our First Amendment rights, but I also feel that people now are getting mad about this, but it's kind of like the bakery and the gay couple's cake. You know, they won a court case in the Supreme Court that said they didn't have to bake the cake because it is not a government entity. And it's kind of the same way. Do I agree with it? No, but I don't think that we have laws that support us. I am not for censorship. I too got in trouble on Facebook because I called someone an idiot. And I mean, just an idiot. I've seen people say things on Facebook that and I get yelled at for calling someone an idiot. So I think they have too much power. I think that we are controlled more by Facebook, Twitter, and those universes than our government, and our government doesn't know what to do with it.
Good answer. How do you feel about, because I mean, it sounds like you're on a very similar path to us as censorship. We actually, to follow up to Suni's question before I ask the next one, do you believe that it's much stronger on the conservative side for the censorship than on the Democrat side?
Okay, well, I'm going to be biased on this because I think that when you are a public figure and you are portraying fake things or throwing fake things out there, it makes it easy for people in America to get behind throwing you off.
Like Russian
Especially when
collusion.
well, but I've also read the whole Mueller report, just not the whatever I've been fed by the news. I've read it all. So, I mean, I when it comes to Donald Trump, it's a trick question. I don't feel that anyone should be kicked off, but I also feel if you have great immense power, but then I also see what other countries do too. I have no good answer for this. I really don't. I agree with you, and I.
We're not talking. I don't even want to talk about Donald Trump. I want to talk about us. Like Cash gets censored, Sunni gets censored.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that.
Like the Kelly, a video of people chanting USA, and somebody shared it because it was a rally. It was from the rally. People chanting USA, and they got 30-day suspension from Facebook.
Yeah, that's wrong. It's wrong. It's very wrong.
They should not be doing me like that. I'm black.
Not if you didn't vote for Biden.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh, that's not true.
Then
What
you
color we
ain't.
are.
Then you ain't, Cash. Yeah, we felt the censorship too and the shadow squashing, and we've been messaged and told that we're in violations literally when we post patriotic stuff. If we say like God bless America or something, that goes against their community.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And I'm seeing so many people applaud it. What is it? Remove them all. What's the hashtag going around now? Remove them all or something. Burn the Republican Party down. They've been called for. I mean, there is so much propaganda being put out there, lumping all people who don't agree with the people on the left as the problem. And unity is not really being called for, but really what they want is conformity, and they're couching it as unity. And anybody who disagrees or calls it is therefore the problem. I mean, it's just.
Well,
I appreciate you, by the way. I just want to tell you that. I really do appreciate you coming on.
Oh, well, thank you. And what you said, I felt for 4 years. People only want echo chambers of what they want to hear. And that's the biggest problem with our country.
Not everybody, but a lot of people, yes. The majority of people, yes.
I was deleted on Wednesday by over 50 barrel racers, and I barrel race. So you got to put, that's the way I'm going to kind of view it, but who didn't agree with what I had said. But at the same time, I don't agree with a lot of what people say, but I'll always say, hey, this is how I see it. We don't have to agree, but we should still respect each other. And I don't think it's right for anyone's video to be taken down for them saying how they feel.
Kelly, to hear what you just said, you said that 40 people chose to unfriend you, not that you were censored by somebody not allowing to do stuff. It's unfortunate. I hate that that's where we've gotten to. I completely agree with you on that one. But 40 people disagreed, so they used their American right to say, I don't want to be social media friends with this person anymore. We are dealing with, you post something from a conservative page that says USA and you're banned from speaking. That's two very different things.
Completely agree. I do. And as long as you aren't breaking any laws, as far as if your video told everyone to go build a pipe bomb and take it to Nancy Pelosi's house, there, I think you'd have a problem, but I don't think you are. So, and now watch you will because of what I said.
I was just going to say that, Kelly. That was crafty.
Sorry,
you got
sorry,
this. You
don't
got
do
this
it.
very well played.
So, I do want to mention that there is and if we talk leadership above people like us, the hypocrisy does go in one direction, because Trump essentially, they say he stokes flames. It's ultimately his flames that he stokes are saying the media sucks, fake news. The thing that they're saying he incited, the reason why they're trying to impeach him is that he incited this coup on Congress, which whatever. He literally said, we're going to have our voices heard, march to the Capitol, etc. Like there was nothing else. Alex Jones spent $500,000 on making it a permitted event and actually having people have a fenced-in area to chant and yell, etc. And then you've got that's what is being deemed as enough to permanently ban somebody from Twitter, whereas you've got Loretta Lynch saying there will be blood in the streets. You've got Chris Cuomo saying, who says protests have to be peaceful? You've got Ayanna Pressley.
Wait, you just took Chris Cuomo out of context there. And he said, you totally took him out of context by saying protests have to be peaceful. It's not exactly how he said it.
No, that's
No,
exactly
he
what he
said
said.
whoever. You're right. That's not how he said it. He said, and whoever said the protests are supposed to be peaceful anyway. That's what he said. I just shared the clip yesterday. His whole little, his whole thing.
Right, but it wasn't meant in a way go out and
No, it was meant as, why would President Trump call these guys rioters when they're just peaceful protesters? This is how you protest. That's what he was trying to say. But it was
That
still
is
bullshit.
actually the full context. Yeah, he literally said, why are people calling them out? Why are they saying that this isn't right? This is not part of protest. He said, and then he said, who says protests have to be peaceful? So yes, I did not say the full context. It doesn't change the meaning. It doesn't change the meaning. Kamala Harris said protesters should not let up. Nancy Pelosi says, I just don't know why there are uprisings all over the country. Maybe there should be. I don't know why they're not uprisings all over the country. Maybe there should be. Maxine Waters, the worst of the worst, says you get out and create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them they are not welcome anymore, anywhere. And Trump, part of his, said, go home with love and peace. Remember this day forever. And that was taken down by Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But do you think the fact where he said to go down to the Capitol and it's going to, you need to show immense strength?
Can I say something?
Yeah, strength in
any of
numbers.
that?
Hold on. I want to finish that statement. Let Kelly finish that statement. He said what?
He said, and I can't quote it directly right now, but in my mind, it's playing back as what he said as march down there and you need to show immense strength. And it was just perceived, like it might have been perceived. To me, it's
a preconditioning. You're right. That's what he said. It's a preconditioning of the human brain from the media that you digest, as well as millions and millions of America, that makes you trigger going, oh my God, he's telling to burn things down. Listen to the words that you just said. He said, go show immense strength. Use your voice. And now that's because of what we've seen for 4 years and what the media has over and over and over. And I'm going to say a word that I never say, but Operation Mockingbird, but that philosophy behind it, because I don't like talking about rabbit holes. But you go over and over and over again, and you hear the same thing over and over again. Even when somebody says, show immense strength, use your voice, it's taken as if somebody said there needs to be unrest in the streets or protesters shouldn't let up. You literally said exactly what he said, and it was okay. It was telling people to be strong.
I think you're adding in the use your voice and with poise and all of that, because that wasn't part of it. And he also said that he'd be there with you, and he wasn't. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd be pissed off if I was marching with the president down.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just so you know, just so everybody, I want to make this perfectly clear. Before President Trump said anything, we were already gone. Before I ever went to DC 2 weeks prior, if you go back and watch my lives, I told everybody I'm going to DC and we are going to go to the Capitol building and we're going to protest. Before Trump said anything about anything. I'm not a Trump bot. I did what I wanted to do because I don't like corruption. I don't like where they're sitting in our house making fools of us. That's why we went to the Capitol building. I didn't even hear Trump say what you guys heard him say. You know why? Because I left 20 minutes before his speech was even over.
Me too. Yeah.
I did.
Let
I
me
was
ask you
at the
this.
Capitol. Look it. Let me tell you something. Here, I got to do it because I don't know if you heard this, Kelly. So I'm gonna let you hear it. I'm not gonna let you see it because, laws.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question when he's done, Kelly.
Okay.
Straight up bullshit, y'all. Hey, they've been throwing flashbangs, shooting for bullets.
You hear that? There's a flashbang.
Look at this shit. These are fucking American flags, American people standing out here protesting the right way. And we're getting treated like we're not citizens. This is bullshit.
You won't be able stay with them and we'll figure out. I don't know how long we'll be able to stay with them.
Get the girls out of here. They're throwing flashbangs from over here.
Okay, all right.
Get the girls out of here. Come on.
Let's go.
And we were up the front. We were in the front.
And to be very clear, people that keep telling us that we don't know what it would have been like at a BLM rally,
I was at a BLM rally.
there was nothing that we were standing there having conversation. We were near the front. There was nobody pushing gates. They came out to agitate to see what would happen. And still on our side of the building, nothing happened. They let the gates open. So anyways,
How you feel about that, Kelly?
Yeah. How do you feel about that? What you think about that?
Well, I honestly feel like maybe now people can relate, because the same thing happened across the street at the church when they were peacefully protesting, and then they wanted to clear it out for a photo op to hold a Bible upside down.
I talk about that video all the time, or I talk about that incident all the time. Have you ever seen footage from that?
Jesus Christ, I want to pull my fucking brain out of my head and just stick it.
Hold on.
It's all right.
Have you ever seen footage from that?
Yeah, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
How could you say that?
Hold on. From how far away did you see footage of that?
Oh, you're asking me to go back like 20 riots. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Say it again. Say it again.
You guys, you could not be calling that. No, hold up. That was not okay. It was a full.
That was not a riot.
You're coming out with you today, Kelly. Go ahead,
the
girl.
Bible upside down. It was horrible. I mean, the military apologize. Come on.
I get it. I actually thought I didn't agree with that either. I thought it was kind of dumb. But I'm going to tell you something. Now, talk about media blowing things out of proportion. In this day and age, we have video of everything. There is no video up close and personal of where the few people that were in the way when they were trying to get Trump through. So here we are in the United States of America. If Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, wants to go do a photo op for the purposes of solidarity, just like every president has done in the history of the fucking United States of America, you block the street and you tell people to move. And if people don't move, you throw one or two flashbangs or tear gas and you get them out of the way if they are not listening. And I'm going to tell you at that point, the closest footage you have is from about 200 feet away. And at that 200 feet away, you will see a very small group scattered with a few canisters of tear gas to get them out of there. And it was blown out of proportion, like they dropped tear gas into a gigantic group of people, and it never fucking happened. Period.
I mean, the country was kind of like on fire. I mean, that's another thing they say. Well, when Black Lives Matter came to the Capitol, you see all the soldiers and everything they had out there. Yeah, just that was because for 6 months they were literally destroying cities, literally beating.
Oh, but come on. How do you know they were Black Lives Matter? Just like how do you know they're Trump supporters? It works both ways.
Exactly, and that was the argument that I made yesterday on my show, Kelly, because Black Lives Matter said it wasn't them, it was Antifa, and I stood with them. I made videos about it saying that they're infiltrating your group. Matter of fact, that was the first video that went viral that I ever made. So you're definitely right. And Antifa comes out and messes shit up for everybody. But you know what the difference was? The difference maker was that when Antifa came to us, we did not do what they did. When they came over here to Chicago, BLM, and they were raging through the streets, and it was BLM. I'm telling you because I'm out here in Chicagoland. All right. And Antifa came out and started trying to tear shit up, loot stores. And guess what? They started looting right along with them. The next day, do you know what the leader of the Black Lives Matter in Chicago said on the news?
No.
Looting is a form of reparations. Take that shit.
That is
That's wrong.
True.
It's wrong.
I just want to say they were burning that church before Trump ever came out there to take a picture by it. I'm just going to say that.
They wanted to take Jesus out of the damn churches.
And who cares if he held this? This is what I mean. Honestly, you simply do not like Trump because you just him holding the Bible upside down bothered you.
No, I don't
think
like
that's
Trump
the most
because
ridiculous
of 50
thing
other
ever.
things, but that adds to it. I mean, let's be honest here. You want a photo op and you want to say how religious you are, but yet you don't step.
How do you know that? That is your personal opinion.
You realize Biden called the Book of Psalms Psalms. Captain Catholic didn't know how to pronounce Psalms, and he said that 4 times.
Oh, let's not go down that road. That's a long road to go down.
What
You just did. You just said the Bible upside down, so I'm countering it with the exact same
a
argument.
man that goes to church how many times a week versus one that's been to church how many times? I mean, come on,
You
they're
do
not
not
comparable.
have to
How do
go.
you know how many times you've been to fucking church?
Hold on.
Technically, he's the president, so his whole day is documented.
You don't like Trump. That's
Jesus
it.
Christ.
It's
Kelly,
Trump
I was
racist.
really
Yes,
starting to like you, Kelly. I love to hear about
Back
it.
at ya, but yeah, come on
Hold
now.
on. Is Trump a racist?
I don't know. I don't judge him in it that way. I don't.
Okay. That's
Hell
great.
no, he be tapping black ass. He ain't racist.
How about Joe Biden?
Okay,
How about Joe Biden?
we're getting close to wrapping up. I want to do before we go into just the last, like we love to ask this question of why you voted for Biden. I do want to share one other video, which again I think, and this is going to be the conversation of, do we relate these people talking about this comparison? You can't compare it to a BLM protest because this is, this is a different thing. This isn't about equality. But I want to bring up just like we're talking about the quote unquote violence that happened. I want to bring up something that really never gets talked about. Nobody cares about it, etc. On the day that Donald Trump was inaugurated. I don't think there's audio on this, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. So this is walking up the streets in Washington, D.C. on the day of inauguration. Please hold. There you go.
Look at that.
That doesn't just look like Antifa. There's Antifa mixed in. There's the people marching. And nobody's stopping them, which is ironic.
Like we were stopping Antifa.
I was in that inaugural parade, and when we got towards the end and we walked by the areas, the streets had been cleared because of the rioters. And we were concerned. Everybody was concerned for the safety of the people walking the parade. So on the day the president's being inaugurated, the people walking in the parade were told, hey, there's rioters. Are you sure you want to be a part of this? And warned. We were anyway. I can't speak for everybody, but we personally had somebody come to us and say, hey, there's rioters. Keep an eye out. Keep a lookout. And we did see signs of it. But by the time we got there, it had been cleared. And then when we left the next day, all those women with their vagina hats were on, blocking us from walking on the sidewalks and screaming at us, angry that we were there for that. So, that's how that presidency started. And I was there for the inauguration, and I was there for this, and
it hasn't let up for 4 years.
Yeah.
And we are at the foot of the Capitol of the United States of America, taking pictures and being there chanting USA. And I'm being threatened. I'm being reported to the FBI. I'm having your friend Kelly have multiple bad reviews on her. She had to take down her Facebook recommendations for a business. She's had people report her 2 jobs ago, CEO. She's had people report her last job. And there is now hate groups, McCarthy-era hate groups in social media where they're allowed to do whatever they want. I reported one of the people that did this, and they told me it didn't go against community guidelines to post our pictures in a group page and on their own page saying, let's get these people, let's make sure they don't have jobs, let's make sure this. That's not against the rules. Does that ring true as something that is a huge issue coming directly from the left and nowhere else after we've let our cities burn in 7%? I know it's not all. I know there's a ton of what that? Oh, so yeah, whatever.
You're not allowed to talk. Shiran, you're not allowed to talk.
There is a ton of examples of violent mobs and riots that were partially the A word and partially Black Lives Matter, just like the woman saying reparations and vandalism are the same thing. We're having all these different things. Yet now we have our first protest that caused less than $20,000 of damage, few broken windows, and some of those we're seeing are bad actors that were infiltrating our group just the same as it happened in BLM. And it is being blown into the biggest riot in the history of the United States of America. Do you not see how that hypocrisy is leading us down a path that we do not want to go? And that's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. That's got strictly to do with the media and all of politics in general. And Trump is probably the least guilty out of that group.
So I will disagree. And here's why. Because had he not said this could have been the best thing ever. And from the friends that didn't go in there and did the actual protest, it was the fact that you'll always have that one idiot. We all have that one friend that you're like, we're gonna go to the bar and we're gonna kick his ass, and you don't really want to, but then that dude starts a fight and you're like in the middle of something. That happens in everything. It's the same thing that happened this summer and it happened now. So me personally, I feel like this could have been 110 times better. I don't blame any of my Trump friends for this. I don't feel like they went there thinking that. I don't feel like they even support that. But the fact that you can say, blame it on other people, it's almost like the summer just keeps replaying. And until Americans believe that we're people that get along, I understand, but the people that do get along we're not romanticized by the media, because on both sides, because the media doesn't make any money off of us. We're just the people that are like, hey, keep going. So
Wait, do you know how the media makes money? Do you think it just comes out of thin air?
no, the media makes money out of creating stories. I mean, for real.
Well, how do you monetize the stories? Who is the consumer?
Well, okay, but when
It's
Fox
not-
News keeps you pissed off, Fox News makes you think that there's no Christmas anymore, and you take the Christ out of Christmas. It didn't happen. I don't know.
You,
anyone-
you can't talk about Fox News because you said you don't watch Fox News. So that's a wild
I'm giving
inaccuracy
examples
about
of it. I'm giving examples of it. And what I'm saying is the media makes money by creating problems and causing a bigger divide. There are
Very
stations that do report on it, but if you think OAN is one of them, you're
OAN is the worst. Of the worst.
OAN is full of
I
shit.
hate OAN. I think OAN is terrible.
Newsmax is full of shit too.
OAN is funded by China.
OAN, I am not a fan of OAN. I agree with you. But again, you can't talk about Fox News because you don't watch it. I actually sometimes, as much as people say, you only watch Fox News, the times that I like turning on Fox News, it's the only time I actually, because sometimes they fluff things up a little bit. They're actually the most positive news you will ever hear in the last calendar year because they almost make it better than it seems. So you're wildly inaccurate about Fox News. So yes, if you go to CNN, you'll think that the world is ending. Absolutely. There is no Christmas. Actually, all they do is they even talk shit about Melania's decorations around Christmas.
Not even that. When there's just a small flood, Mr. Vanderbilt will duck down in the deepest hole to make it look like a flood.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. I can't even. Oh my gosh.
So hold on.
great,
Go ahead.
Oh man.
I do have a question for you, Kelly, because you're a barrel racer, and I watched the video because you're talking about it's bad actors, and I get that a lot of times it is bad actors. But what I will tell you is, you, I'm sure, of all people, have seen the video during the summer of the horses being trapped on the BLM blockade that I think I talked about on a show yesterday, where it was all BLM. There was no Antifa. I'm going to tell you that right now. I was watching the video, and they were throwing things at the vehicle. They were trying to rip the horses out. They were blocking the road. The driver finally drove through because the horses were dying in midday heat, and they were blocked for too long. And they were chased down the street until they got to cop cars. They were able to relock the crate. And that was probably a mob of 150 Black Lives Matter supporters that had blocked the highway. I don't know if they were 16. I don't know if they were 24. Now, is this every protest? No, being very clear of that. But what do you think about that? That's not bad actors.
Was this the one in Oklahoma?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, well, the family came out and said there was no horses on it. And it's kind of like Walter.
God!
There's the rest of the story. So from what I understood about that when I dug into it, no, I think they were wrong. You got to get out of the way, and that's just so frustrating to me during any event, be it rush hour. Again, I work in Detroit, or be it a freaking protest. Get out of the street. But people think that that's how they make their point. I feel like the protesters should have moved. I think it was incited by their actions, but then the guy behind the wheel got pissed off, might have done things that made them react in the wrong way. But I do blame the protesters, in my opinion, for that.
I swear to you, if they ever try to block my road, Black Lives Matter will be Black Lives Splatter.
Okay, but do you feel the same way about Trump supporters if they tried to block
Yes.
the road too?
They don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Get
Good.
the fuck out of my way.
We're on the same page. I agree.
We don't block the road, though. Okay, final
We don't
question.
do that.
Final question. This is the grand finale that I always love to ask. What policies made you vote for Joe Biden?
Well, be honest with you, I work in the transportation industry. I actually sell semi-trailer parts. And the infrastructure bills that they've put forward are the biggest part of why I chose to. I think that the way, and I was hopeful that Trump would, and he had mentioned doing it, but he never came forward with it. But I have huge hopes for rebuilding kind of like a Roosevelt era rebuild of our country, and that would help our industry a ton.
So, but I know what you're talking about because he actually tried to get stuff done, and I know you had hope in it. He was trying to get that done in the last 2 years when, unfortunately, bills were not passed by the House because it was no longer read across the board. That's why that did not go through. So I get you. With being all blue, I highly doubt that will happen, but it's a good thought. So I get it. You can use thought process to see that, but I'm going to ask you: is there a second one, because that's a real long shot?
Well, I don't feel that way, but okay. Second one would be hope for health.
You just said I hope. I hope
Well,
that you
we hope for anything. I mean, Christ, Trump had all red the first 2 years, and all we got was a crappy tax cut for the middle class that gave us what? Our own money to hold on to throughout the year. So
Are you fucking serious?
I'm 100% serious.
In between being impeached and harassed and set up and lied about and
Well,
smeared.
Did any other president do that for you? Hold on. Did any other president do that for you?
Do what for me?
Give you a tax cut to put money back in your pocket?
Well, first of all, no, it screwed me.
No, you got to answer yes or no.
Hold on. Listen, I do on the road sales. I lost the ability to write off my miles. So I no longer get to because I got this crappy $12,000 limit. So it fucked me. So yeah, if you want to go on about it, it didn't put any money back in my pocket and it took from me.
Your pocket. But did any other president put money back in the American people's pocket? Because it's not just
now
about
you changed the question and no. Bush did. He sent us checks. So
all right, bro.
Okay. This is
I need another one because you still
okay.
you
well, I
said
was trying to go into it, and it's healthcare. So
okay.
I have hopes for every president with healthcare. I had hopes for Trump with healthcare, and he kept saying how he had this. I mean, heck, even to August, he kept saying next week of this year. It never came out. It never got done. If people would stop arguing with each other and actually get something to benefit us, whatever party it was, I'd be the biggest supporter.
oh, so man, that means you're mad at Nancy.
You should be
I
mad at
never
Nancy.
liked Nancy. I'm not a fan.
I feel you. We agree. But I just got to throw out there though, Trump did a whole bunch of great shit. A whole bunch.
Cool.
Because it doesn't affect her personally. It doesn't matter. I've heard
I
so
didn't
many
say
people
it didn't matter. You're putting words in my mouth. I never said it didn't matter. I just said why I voted for someone else. Now you're turning it on me. That's all.
Yosra is just a fucking yes man today, and you're irritating the shit out of me, Yosra. Like I kind of want to go in on you right now.
Don't do it. It's not worth anything in this argument. What I will do, I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the Tulsa trailer ran through Tulsa Black Lives Matter protest. Everything that I see is that there was horses on board.
I saw one that just said there weren't. That said they confirmed that there weren't. I think it was Fox that said they confirmed there weren't.
That they were or were not.
Were not. Horse trailer pushed through.
All right.
I just lost it, but I did see articles I pulled up that said that there were not.
Yosra, I'm gonna send you a link and you can come on hot mic.
I'll take that then. All right. So here's the deal, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. Final words. Someone's kind of supporting Kelly. All right. Let's see.
Yay, that person.
All right. Let's go ahead and have Barb. Final words.
I was looking up the horse trailer, but I found it.
Oh no, go ahead. Never mind. Keep looking it up. Sunni, go for it.
Well, now we're bullies.
I'm not a bully. I am an American. I want what's best for all Americans, not just myself. Do I go in the voting booth to vote for things that I want as well? Absolutely. But I think that we should all go in there with our feelings checked at the door. Look at policy and look at how the rest of the country will be affected. It was cool talking to you. I don't agree with probably 99.9% of what you said, but I'm glad that you were able to come here and talk with us and explain why you decided to vote for Joe.
Back at you.
I actually, by the way, Kelly, I agree with a little bit more. I think a lot of your points were valid. I mean, I would go more 80-20. Cash, since Barb is still looking that up, you want to do a wrap?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Barb. Let's have Barb.
KTUL in Tulsa, Oklahoma, said that the family came forward and said there were no horses on the trailer.
All right.
That's
Still pretty violent exchange. I will go ahead and share that in the comment box right now.
I just want to say, Kelly, I think that you're very dope for coming on. I agree with, I guess, a little bit of your side. I see you. I do think that you should probably do a little more homework because some of the things that you did say were actually factually wrong. And it wouldn't be hard to see that. But I appreciate you taking the time to even come on and listen to our side and not disagree with the things that you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So that shit's dope as hell. And we need more people like you that are willing to do what we're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? And I do not dislike you at all. Just so you know, I think that you're an amazing person and I love your hair.
You guys are awesome. I actually had a ton of fun, and I respect, I disagree the same way, but I respect all of your opinions, and I think that we can learn from each other.
Whoa. Did you just say a ton of fun because I put on some weight? Kelly, I no longer like you. Okay. All right. Barb, go ahead. Wrap it up.
Kelly, I wrap up what they said. Thank you so very much for doing this. Refreshing for me, especially in the light of recent events where I have just been called every sort of horrible name just for being on here. People who've going to the rally, for people who've known me for years. So thank you actually for renewing my hope for this country in the hands of the people, not necessarily the politicians. I feel like there's hope for us because you're willing to have conversations, and you're one of the few that has, and that's where it starts. I think we need to stop. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, this isn't America, this isn't America, this isn't America. And I would just say, I know this is off topic a little, but I think we need to stop saying this isn't America and start saying like, this is America. Like we have to face reality. When we keep saying this isn't America, it's like we're able to put some deniability. So change the wording there. Like this is America and we need to freaking fix it now. Like you guys know my husband died for this, and I had a Gold Star mom turn on me, say, even though your husband died and my son died, you're still disgraceful for supporting this president. And conversation like that needs to stop. So Kelly, thank you for giving me hope that one day we can be civil with each other again.
You just point them out to me, Barb, and I will punch them in the face. I got a last thing I'd like to say
I don't
real
need
quick.
a punch. I just want to.
The last thing that I want to say is because Jake is back, and Jake, I just want you to know, bro, that you don't got to come on here and troll and be upset because you see all of our dopeness on here, and because I get all these great comments, and you're sitting at home watching me with your little micro penis in your mouth, looking like a rejected Backstreet Boy. You do not have to be mad at me. I didn't do it. It's not. You got to talk to God. I think they got penis implants. You could probably get one. You know. Okay, and on top of that, I know it's really got to suck because you probably got erectile dysfunction. So that and a micro.
Well, we had a good time with that. Oh man! All right. Okay. Oh right, that was kind of good. But with that said, we don't believe in any kind of bullying or physical deformities being an issue and being spoken of on this show. Anyways, all right, to wrap it up, guys. What's that?
I'm just joking about Kelly when she said.
I'm super petty, just by the way. Everybody know that.
You guys are awesome.
Anyways, all right. So Kelly, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I want to be very clear to the 600 and something people still watching that I have been scouring the internet all day long to find anyone that is willing to have a discussion while I've been getting shit talked by people that have reported me to the FBI for attending a peaceful protest, to people that have sent things to my employers, to have shared photos. And I just say, can I have literally, I go in, I don't say F you, I say, can I have a conversation? Can we talk? Can we just really quick say, guys, tell me why you disagree with me being there? And I've gotten no response to it. I have gotten a little bit of hate. I've gotten a little bit back saying, why would I ever take a time to listen to you? And that is everything that is wrong with America, but we have to realize what is right. What Barb was saying was very important. I find it mind-boggling that somebody would look at her as a Gold Star parent and her situation, also losing someone in war, and say what they fought for doesn't allow her to have a voice in this country. We literally all are free to think differently. And for people who have been brainwashed to think that Trump is so bad that you are not allowed to post on social media. We can't even post the things that we want to share about how peaceful this event was, because any viewership of this event, especially the peaceful stuff, oddly enough, a lot of the bad stuff is staying up. And by a lot of it, I mean the very few videos that were bad. But the rest of the stuff that shows people fighting back against the bad protesters trying to hurt the police, or the people fighting against the guy trying to break the window, is taken down. We have an impossible task ahead of us to spread truth. And people are saying that Trump getting his Twitter taken down isn't an infringement on his First Amendment rights is incorrect, because they say, well, he can just really quick go to the street corner and yell. He hasn't lost his ability to voice. It's 2021. You cannot fight in a gunfight with a water gun. You can't yell on a street corner against people that can speak to millions of people and think that you're going to have a fair opinion. Do I think I care about Trump? Do I care about him losing his Twitter? No, but I care about the people like Cash, the people like me, Sunni, losing their voice and not being allowed to speak, and people saying it's a private platform. No, it's a publicly traded business that is the one way that we digest information, and taking that away from each other is a sign of, yes, if you're watching, it is a sign of fascism and communism. That is the definition of fascism, to make it so that one side has a larger voice than another. It is the beginning of programming. With that said, Jay, I do send my condolences, and I hope to have you on the next show. I know
he's here. He's right there. He says the people going live on Facebook. Shut your bitch ass up, bro.
But in real talk, Jay, I do send my love and my condolences. I know it's been a very week for you and your girlfriend. So, guys, that's all I got to say. Thank you guys for attending this lovely conference, and thank you, Kelly, for being here. If you've got more like-minded friends, tell them to come on.
Kelly, you're welcome on anytime, for real.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And again, remember to subscribe. Last thing I'm going to throw up here, since we don't know when we may get taken down, just to say, and Jay, to be very clear, I'm very careful how I talk and how I manage the show to make sure. Some people aren't, and they tend to get more bans than I do, and they also have more followers. But anyways, go to #BeTheChange.com, subscribe. That's the best way to get information from us, just in case we do get banned from stuff. And we'll continue to post all of our alternative sites just in case we lose that as well. Thank you, guys. Be the change you wish to see in the world. We appreciate you. Be kind to each other.